What's up, Trojans? I know it's been a minute since I made a video, but what's funny is the only other time I wanted to make a video was when Eli Manning didn't get into the Hall of Fame first ballot. I really thought he should have, and it was a weird year for Hall of Fame voting because Adam Vinatieri didn't get in, and only 3 people actually got in. So absolutely wild that Eli Manning and Vinatieri didn't get into the Hall of Fame. Vinatieri, well qualified, most points scored in NFL history. Eli Manning, everyone will obviously point to the 2-time Super Bowl MVP aspect of it, but he had a great career aside from that. When he retired, top 10 in both passing yards and touchdowns for a career quarterback. And then throughout his career, he had several great seasons. I feel like the main sticking point against him is that he doesn't have the MVPs and an insane amount of Pro Bowls, but he has a few Pro Bowls, and he had a lot of years where he was really good. 11 and 15 stand out to me. I don't know where he finished in MVP voting those years, but 11, he took the team to the Super Bowl. I attribute that to him the most, watching it a little bit. And 07, 08, I guess you can very easily say the defense helped him out a lot there, but he made plays when it mattered. And he was a very consistent quarterback for the Giants. Didn't miss a game due to injury, just the one due to McAdoo's politics with benching Eli Manning for really no reason. He got him fired. Funny how that works. But Eli Manning definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and hopefully he just gets in next year. Aside from that, moving forward, the Giants had a great free agency. Coming off of the worst year in franchise history. 17 was another bad one. Resulted in the second overall pick that we used on Saquon Barkley, and then the Eagles used Saquon Barkley to win the Super Bowl. So it's just funny how that works. But rock bottom can only go up from here. So we're doing a lot in free agency. We got Adebo, Holland, Slayton's coming back. All great signings, really helping out the secondary. Had to make up for the loss of McKinney. Newbin was great last year. Adding Holland back there should help out a lot. 2 solid safeties. I think that'll help a lot back there. I think that will really solidify that part of the defense. And then getting a number 1 quarter in Adebo. Put him back there with Deonte Banks. We just need to fill a solid slot position. There's a few guys on the roster that can do that. So should be a solid secondary for the upcoming season. And then if Kayvon Thibodeau can really make a big impact like he did a few times his rookie year, and he does every now and then. I think of the Jets game in 2023. He was a beast in that one. So if he can just be a little bit more consistent, that would really help the defensive line. We always have Dexter Lawrence, and Brian Burns was pretty solid last year. Again, the main thing with defensive linemen is just the consistency. Just the name of the position is like you got to just consistently get to that quarterback, get those pressures in. Hopefully we can get that. We'll have a solid defense, I think, this season. Back to the offensive side, though. This is where the main stuff is happening in free agency. Slayton was a solid signing. We'll have Neighbors, Slayton, and Robinson. They'll all be out there. 3 great wide receiver targets for who's at quarterback, right? That was the thing. For a while, the Giants bounced from Stafford to Rodgers, and then it felt like out of nowhere after waiting on Rodgers for forever, which I would have liked Aaron Rodgers. I thought that would have been really cool. I think it would have worked out well for him and New York. But the Giants go with Jameis Winston. He comes in, it's a whole media storm. Jameis Winston's the new Giants quarterback. What's this going to mean? I wasn't sure what they were doing with him at first. They clearly paid him backup money, but it was really weird to see that signing because at the time it's like, oh, so they're going to get Sanders or Ward now, or they're going to really try to trade up to get Ward. And then not long after, we didn't have to debate on Winston being the starting quarterback, if that's better or worse for anyone. Is Tommy DeVito actually going to get a chance to start next season? We didn't have to debate too much of that because shortly thereafter, Russell Wilson, New York Giants quarterback, he comes in. And now I'm really looking forward to the upcoming season because I would have preferred Rodgers, but I was looking more into Russell Wilson since the Giants signed him. And watching his opening press conference, how he's handled himself and everything, I think this is going to work out really well for the Giants this upcoming season. Russell Wilson is a class act, great guy. He's coming in, and he's really going to make a statement, I think, the upcoming season. And looking at his performance just recently last year even, a few of the Steelers fans I've talked to had great things to say about him overall. A little inconsistent, of course. He came in, he was really great, and then lost a few in a row at the end. But I think coming in with the Giants, he's going to be put in a great situation. If the offensive line can just block for a few seconds for him, and he won't be back there like Daniel Jones, making them have to block for 10 seconds. This is a skilled veteran quarterback that knows how to operate an NFL offense. One of the big things we had with Daniel Jones was he's not controlling the offense enough himself. That was a huge thing. That was a big thing with Saquon Barkley even, the dip in his numbers in 19 and 21. A lot of that did get attributed to Daniel Jones not making proper pre-snap reads. And so Russell Wilson will come in, really get the most out of this offense, I feel like. And he's got 3 great wide receiver targets for himself. And again, that opening press conference, he's listing like something he likes about basically every single guy in the offense. It was just great to see. He clearly did his homework in a very limited amount of time. Watched a lot of film. I think it's going to be great. I think the Giants did a good job with this one, and it just raises the question, what are the Giants going to do at 3? I think that's the main thing I'm thinking right now. I think that's the main thing everyone's thinking right now. What are the Giants going to do with the 3rd overall pick? There's going to be a lot of options there. I think Ward will go 1st overall. He's a really great quarterback. The Titans will probably want him. That's what I'm thinking at least. And then the Browns are kind of a wild card to me still. I could see them going in a lot of directions. Right now, I don't believe they have a solid starting quarterback, so they may just go Sanders. And then that leaves whoever the Giants deem to be the best player in the draft available for them. And I feel like that's where they'll go anyway, even if Sanders was on the board at 3. If Carter and Hunter are equal to the Giants, then I think they would just pick whichever one the Browns don't pick. I, at this point in the process, actually prefer Carter. I do think the Giants have a solid defensive line. I think Lawrence, Thibodeau, and Burns are a great group. You get a 4th guy in there, and that's just going to be wild. Carter is a great edge rusher, and then maybe moving Burns or Kayvon even farther outside, a bit more of the linebacker role could help even. I'm not sure what the Giants would do with that, if they would just constantly rotate everyone or just blitz more. I mean, that would be on the table at that point. So it'd be very interesting to see what would happen with that. But Carter is a great edge rusher. I was watching the big game, the final game, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Carter took that game over, and it was so obvious when he wasn't on the field. It's like, wait, Notre Dame's gaining yards? What's wrong with the defense? Oh, Carter's coming back in. Oh, good. Okay. Whew, that was the problem. And it just seemed to all revolve around that. Absolute wild thing to see someone take over a game. And that's what the Giants need at the defensive line. That's really something the Giants are missing, is someone that's just going to consistently take the game over. And I think when you have 3 top-notch edge rushers, one of them will be ready to take over the game at any moment. That's just what I'm thinking right now. I feel like Travis Hunter, he has the 2 main roles of wide receiver and corner. And just both of those roles are something the Giants just really strengthened in free agency. The 3 solid wide receivers for Russell Wilson and a solid secondary between Banks, Adebo, Holland, and Nubin now. I don't see where someone else fits in to that, either of those sides, really. So I think Carter would be the main pick for the Giants if they don't decide to get their quarterback of the future. And the main thing with that is you just don't want to force the quarterback pick. And with that, I wonder if it's Carter or bust now for the Giants at 3. I mean, maybe Sanders is still very high on their list. Maybe they would do it. Maybe they like him that much. I'm not sure what's going on there. But Russell Wilson, it's only a 1-year deal. So nothing has been solidified. It seems like they do just want to get something good for this upcoming season. Sanders is very much on the table then. But if they don't go that way, I think Carter would be the next best thing. You could really try to get a few years with Russell Wilson and then address like a future quarterback in the draft in the future. However, you don't always have a top 5 pick in the draft. It feels like the Giants have always had a top 5 pick in the draft in recent years. But that shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't bet on yourself having a top 5 pick in the draft. Normally doesn't end well. So maybe the Giants would opt to go Sanders at 3, get a guy that they believe they can develop and have become the franchise quarterback for the Giants. I would be here for it. What would be funny with that is then having a 4 quarterback room. I don't think Tommy DeVito would stay on the active roster, maybe move back to the practice squad. But it would be funny to see just a 4 quarterback room with the Giants. I think they could do that. I think that is on the table. I think the Giants have it down to Sanders or Carter because they really address cornerback in free agency, and wide receiver is pretty set. I don't see where Hunter fits in personally. I know you're always supposed to go best available no matter what, but I feel like that more applies to Carter on the defensive line than it does to Hunter anywhere else. So that's why I'm thinking about it right now. Really excited for the upcoming season. I think Russell Wilson can really make something of the Giants season. I don't think it's worth counting the Giants completely out. I think the Giants really underperformed last year. A lot of close games, especially early in the year. Actually, mainly only early in the year. A lot of close games where it's just like, wow, if we had an NFL quarterback, we'd be doing great right now. So Russell Wilson, he is an NFL quarterback. He's a solid NFL quarterback at the very least. So looking forward to it. I think the Giants could really make a surprise run. Not predicting Super Bowl or anything, but I think the Giants could be a fringe playoff team. And then if you make the playoffs, anything can happen. That was really the case with 2022. Just the one playoff game the Giants have won in what feels like forever. But they made a statement that year. They did something. And I think this year could be very similar in that aspect. And then if you have Sanders, you drafted him at 3, and he's on the roster, well, that's great. You don't feel like you've lost anything. But if you do skip on Sanders and then have a playoff run, then you don't set yourself up in the best position to get a future quarterback. And then you're kind of back where the Giants were in 2022, where you have to make something work with Russell Wilson or be like, yeah, Jameis is the guy going forward. Like, you really do narrow your options a lot. So I think the Giants could realistically take a quarterback at 3 still. It would feel weird, but I would not be against it. I just don't think the Giants can go wrong with this pick. You take Carter, you really help out the defense, and the defense would look amazing. And Russell Wilson, he's not ancient. He's still below 40. He's got a few years. Everything will be fine there. So they could go that route or set themselves up for the future with Sanders. It'll be very interesting to see, but free agency was good so far. I'd be very curious to see any other small signings that come in. There were a few others, but nothing like really insane around, the time where Adebo and Holland were signed. A few other small signings, like Van Roten for the offensive line. That was another one. The other last point I want to make was what a year to miss out on having Hard Knocks for the Giants. I feel like this would have been the year to do it. I mean, I would have loved to see all of the phone calls from Shane calling up Matthew Stafford's agent, calling up Aaron Rodgers' agent, and just going through the list of every single quarterback to start for the Giants next year, eventually making the deal with Winston and Wilson. I think it would have been cool to see all of that play out, and not to mention the other free agency signings between Adebo and Holland, and talking with everyone else, and maybe even proposing other trades that we don't even know about. Maybe he did try to trade up to 1 for Ward. I think that would be really interesting to see. But Hard Knocks last year, as much as it seemed amazing at the time and like all this cool stuff was coming out, like, whoa, here's the conversation with Burns and here's how the Barkley situation went down. That's really all it was, is talking about Burns and Barkley. there wasn't a lot of other meat to everything. It was kind of cool to see some of the trade-up projections with the draft, and, they really did go in depth on Shane trying to trade up to 3 for a potential quarterback, but it wasn't that crazy. I feel like this one would have had so much more happening, and I wonder if that's actually kind of what did happen with that, if they knew. They were like, no, we got to do this now. Get this out of the way before wild stuff happens. I'm not sure. It was weird to see Hard Knocks with the Giants last year. It was cool to see, but it does feel like missed opportunity on this season. Well, that's all I have for this time. See you guys in the next one.